my own Garms.
And I walked in and was like, fucking hell, are we doing a pop-up shop or a rave here? Like, the sound was like travelling around the whole thing. And then we had JJB Sports.
Okay.
R.I.P.
R.I.P.
So you get all your sports kit from there. You get your like your basics, jeans and chinos, whatever it was, twist carrot chinos from Top Man, and you get your designer piece and bank. And that was it. For me, like the way I put it was extracting the culture from our community.
Ah, nice, man.
So to show exactly what we're about. They're shopping with us for a reason. They're like involved with us for a reason. Let's give their story to tell ours.
What's poppin', pals? I'm Thomas Griffin and this is My Own Garms. This week I'm chatting to Jake Messer, founder of Bound and Unique Clothing. Jake's been blazing trails in the clothing industry for about a decade now. I love how he takes a DIY approach to making real high quality wearable garments, championing graphic artists and collaborators as he goes. He's a top lad with a real solid graft ethic, and I can't wait to hear his clothing stories and dig down into what Bound and Unique are all about. If you're into what's happening here on MOG, then you can give us a helping hand by sharing it with your mates. Social shares are always appreciated, but if you could tell one of your in real life mates about it next time you go to the pub, that'd be mint. Also, we're going to be recording the next series pretty soon, so have a little think about who you'd like to see as a guest and DM it to us on Insta. Cool, let's do the damn thing. This is My Own Garms with Jake Messer. Jake, welcome to My Own Garms, mate. How are you doing today?
Pleasure to be here, mate. I'm very happy to be on.
Nice one, dude. Appreciate it. I know you've not done a million things like this before.
No, this is
second or third, maybe?
Yeah, this is like the third one I've ever done, and I kind of feel like it was really bothered about what I got to talk about. But
well, when I was doing my deep dive in the research, I listened to both your existing podcasts.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, nice. Yeah, nice. No, I'm really happy to be here. It's nice to I feel like now I've probably got to that point where actually if I was in someone else's shoes and sort of like interested in doing this kind of thing, that maybe what I've got to say is semi-interesting now.
Man.
So, yeah.
Defo. Well, I loved them. So this week, maybe slightly less hectic for you than last week. Tell us what was going down in Manchester last week.
We had a pop-up store on Oxford Road, which is kind of like the irony of it, and the full circle moment is like I went to uni in Manchester, so literally where my building was, I was like 50 yards up the road doing a pop-up store, and it was good because I've done little sample sales and little pop-ups before, mainly in bars, so we can have a bit of a piss up, but this one was a bit more of a serious one. So we had 9 days in Circle Square, which is like the old BBC building, so they've completely redeveloped it.
Sick.
Which is pretty mad.
I bet that's a nuts place to be.
Yeah, there's loads of it's big for like the Chinese living now, so there's a lot of Chinese students there, Chinese supermarkets, sort of restaurants in that way, but then they're trying to do different things like with it, and sort of I think there's a Federal Cafe was opposite us, which was mad. There's a queue every day of the week.
Did you sample? Did you get there yourself?
I did, only for coffee, but I was like, mate, people queuing for like hours. It was mad. It's like something you'd see in Copenhagen or like in Japan. It was absolutely crazy. But yeah, I think they're trying to do something with that area and like revitalise it. Like Oxford Road's always been, it's weird because I'd not been there for like, literally walked down it for like 5 years.
Yeah.
And Alan Harrison was sort of like, two of my colleagues were sort of like, I've been saying about let's do a pop-up for ages. It's hard to get the space, you know what I mean? It's hard to get an empty retail unit. They just get snapped up by bars or cafes in Manchester, don't they? So they're not that interested in clothing retail, really.
So they need somewhere that's got like a vested interest in having a bit of cultural interest to it.
Yeah, it's mad because every unit, like I've looked at retail units for years now, and they do just get snapped up by bars because it's where the easy money is, it's like an easy rent out. But I kind of so the lads went and came back and were like, there's something about this space. I was like, I guess I'll go look at it then.
Yeah.
Walked there and walked in, I was like, as soon as I walked in, I was like, we've got to make this happen.
Sick.
Like big glass windows on Oxford Road, footfall was amazing. So we had 2 weeks to make it work, and it was absolute blinder. Like it was so good. We had such a good time, like loads of people through the door, and it was like, just got me an itch for a permanent store now.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Soon coming. I saw a few. I've not been down. I was down in Manchester the last couple of weeks, but the bits that I saw on Insta, it looked mint. And the thing that caught my eye was the rig, the sound system. Like them speakers looked like something straight out of Kingston in the mid-70s, like a proper old school big rig. Yeah,
it was class. I'll have to give him a shout out actually because he helped us out massively. That was Nam.
Okay.
So it was the restaurant bar in Ancoats. So Nam sound system, he just basically sources like mid-cent sort of sound systems and record players and he had the big horns, like the big 80, like 60s, 70s, 80s horns or whatever they were on the top. He come in and fitted that for us, and I walked in and was like, fucking hell, are we doing a pop-up shop or a rave here? Like, the sound was like travelling around the whole thing, but we wanted to do it properly.
Yeah.
We only had 2 weeks to do it, so we lent on everyone that we've like worked with closely, all of our contacts, and pulled it together. And the sound system was unbelievable. So we had loads of we had like 7 or 8 DJs come in and play.
Nice.
Which was class, who just wanted to come in and be a part of it. Do you know what I mean?
Nice,
so
man.
yeah, that was belting.
Well, it all really fits with the aesthetics. I mean, we touched on it a little bit in the bonus footage, but it's the influences that you're drawing on are that kind of 70s, 80s. A lot of the knit polos are very reminiscent of sound system, what you'd see people wearing in sound system culture. So it makes sense to have that as part of what you do, I think.
And like the knitwear as well. Like, it was, what was like interesting and sort of challenging in a good way about it is doing it as a hybrid store. So both the companies have got completely different areas, and there's such different brands and companies. Like, they're completely like polar opposite in certain ways. There is obviously a crossover, but they're so aesthetically different and run differently, like to the core, that it was interesting to be like about how. And when we were talking about splitting the unit, I was like, well, I reckon split it straight down the middle and have like retro sort of carpet, like pattern carpet for Bound, and like all the mid-scent sort of like wood and oak and sort of like that kind of mahogany colour. And then for Unique, just go way more stripped back, a little bit more modern. In the end, we ended up sort of doing like 2 corners that was then separated by the rigs in the middle. Okay. So it was like the back left-hand corner was Bound, which we did do in that way, like the nice like rugs down and sort of like kitted out a little bit, sort of like a home, a little bit more like. And then Unique was basically just like simplicity, because there's so many options and so much variety that you can't overcomplicate it. So it was cool to do that and like figure out as a hybrid store how we can make it work for both brands, and then see where people would gravitate to. Yeah. For me, like the Bound section just looked ready. Like it was, I looked at it and thought, this is ready for that like stage. Man. It's ready for its flagship now.
Well, can't wait to see it open.
Yeah, fingers crossed. I've got some things in mind, but not next year. I need to rest a little bit. Okay. But 2025, hopefully we'll have something, but it's going to be in Manchester for sure.
Sick, man. The other thing that you've put out recently that I've been absolutely drooling over is the shoot that you just dropped. Yeah. The Garms, the pics, the gaff. Did you get down to that one yourself?
Yeah, so this is I get to every shoot really. Every single Bound shoot that we've ever done, I've sort of been there and have a massive part in the creative direction. So how this one worked is for the last 5 Bound collections, maybe more, I basically wanted to put a story to the design. Like when I'm designing it, there's always something subconsciously in the back of my mind why I'm designing it or why I'm putting it together, like, and sort of how I'm curating that collection and how I want it to look, and where sort of, not where it can be worn anywhere, but like a specific style to it. So the first ever one I did was Copenhagen, which then was quite like a Nordic-y style. That was when I introduced the cords for the first time, like a lot of outerwear, like my first pieces of outerwear. Went and shot it in Copenhagen, and then ever since then, I think that was collection 9. Ever since then, I've basically either picked a location or put a bit of a storyboard behind it. Yeah. So with this one, we'd been abroad for like the last 4 or 5 collections. With this one, it was a massive collection, 55 pieces, the biggest one yet. Loads of knitwear, loads of heavy coats, and I was like, fucking hell, fuck flying this abroad to somewhere else and like carrying it around, like. So I was like, but actually this is cozy, and it was the first time we were introducing a female model for Bound. Like, we've always been, anyone could wear Bound, do you know what I mean? Anyone, and we sell to every demographic, but we've kind of shot it more towards menswear because that's how we've styled it and stuff like that. But this was the time, because of the knitwear and how the industry's changed, and because of the fabrics that we were using, the yarns we were using in the knitwear, we're like, well, I wanted to bring a female into it, and what's the best way to do that than doing like it was a bit of a retreat. So we found like this mid-scent home in Huddersfield.
It's so sick, man. So describe for the people listening in audio. We'll probably put a picture up, but for the people listening in audio, it's set in a kind of suburban, rural setting.
It's in the middle of nowhere. Literally in the middle of nowhere. It's like the amount of hills we were driving up to get to it. This house was crazy, and we just got it on Al find. So I gave Al that sort of, since Al came on to me as like creative lead, I'll go to him and say, this is the idea that I've got. I want to do this retreat thing. These are the type of models I want to cast, like, and then Al will do the legwork of going, these are all the locations. So we sent like 20 locations. Yeah. And he was like, this is the one I think is the best. And I was like, I struggled to envision it. It's so hard on pictures to sometimes to see it. And the fact that you love the pictures of it makes you think it's actually in person. It's like even better, because I walked in and was like, it's perfect. Everything was like stripped back features.
Well, I got in touch asking where the Airbnb listing was, and then when you showed me the link, it's
not
like
Airbnb.
I can't afford that. For a night
it's
stay.
a lot. But it's like the guy. It was just his house. He was an architect, the guy that lived there.
I mean, evidently,
and he kept the original architecture and just did a few tweaks, and like it's all about the maintenance. But even like the boiler was like burnt wood chippings to run the water. It was just everything about it was like the wood finishing, like the carpets. It was just, and obviously the massive windows that just surrounded the whole house. It was perfect, and it was perfect for that sort of like the clothes that we would design for it, and then obviously like the models that we cast, and like just and it all gelled, and it was nice just to do a shoot, and you just kind of gravitate towards little corners of the house when you're putting different outfits on, because with all the styling before, and then you put them in the outfits, and then you start to figure out where they would sit like in the house, and where they would chill in the house with that moment, you know, with their drinking a Negroni, with their have a coffee, like you just basically get so involved in the story, which is mad because it's clothes, but it's like
a shoot is a story though, isn't it? I mean, and no bad angles there. The exterior looked incredible. The little record listening looked amazing. Like the lounge with the natural light coming in. Just
in the morning
stunning.
it just looked like on the side, just looked stunning. It was unbelievable. That morning like sun through the windows was just it was class.
Dream gaff, man.
Yeah, it was very, very nice. It was like weird, like I think you'd have to live there a bit before you felt like it was home, just because the layout is so unique. It's not like anything you'd have here, but it was just cool as hell. Christian, the guy's name was that owned it. He was like so invested in what we were doing as well, because it was like, then they got a lot like TV sort of requests and stuff like that. Never really fashion. So he was struggling to see how we were going to make it work. And then by the end, he absolutely loved it. Yeah.
Well, Christian, if you're listening, if you want any podcasts about clothes recording in your lovely house, then reach out. The models look great. I know Erica, I recorded her on a podcast about 5 or 6 years ago, and she smashed it, man. Like, actually, this female model, like, it looked mint.
We had the biggest fuck up we've ever had. I won't name the agency and shame them a little bit, but we cast a certain model 2 weeks before, and then the shoot was on the Monday, and on the Friday at 4:50, they were like, oh yeah, she's got a visa appointment on that day that's just come up. She can't miss it. We've already paid for the location, paid for the photographer, paid for the male model. And we were like, right, okay, shit. Oh, God, we've cast these two models together to look suited together. We had like 10 minutes. We were like, well, let's go for this person. They were like, right, yep, she's booked him. And then I messaged this model on the Sunday, the second model, said, really looking forward to shooting tomorrow. Here's some styling tips. Like, here's how we want your hair, blah, 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 blah. And she went, I'm in Slovakia. I was like, oh, fuck. And there was 2 girls at this agency with the same name.
Shit, come on.
And they booked the other one, who was like really glam. Like a bit boohoo PLT. Okay. And I was like, this ain't going to work. Like, this ain't going to work. So Erica, we managed to, like, she was shooting in Manchester. We managed to, like, I was like, she's the only other model from your agency that will work. And bless her, to be fair, she was real sound, drove over from Manchester, got there, got ready, got into like the thing and made it work. No one would know that.
I wouldn't.
That was Sunday 8:00. I was cooking a roast dinner. I had to just like to say to the missus, cook roast dinner. Like I've got so it was a nightmare. First like female casting ever. The biggest fuck up.
Never again.
On a shoot. Yeah, never. It was the biggest fuck up we've ever had by any agency on a shoot. But that's fashion. That's how it works. That's like what I signed up for.
Well, you got it done, and it looks sweet.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Rep your ends.
You are from Shropshire, right?
Yes,
near Shrewsbury.
Yeah.
Okay. Tell us a little bit about your area and what kind of clothes you saw around there when you were little, and what kind of rubbed off on you as a lad.
It's not known for its fashion.
Okay.
Shrewsbury. Like I was always subconscious. The more like I thought about it, the more I was obviously knew. Like didn't think that I was, but was kind of into fashion from a very young age. We had 2 stores pretty much, 3 stores pretty much as far as I can remember, which was a bank, which sold like your designer stuff, like Bench and Fly 53 and all that kind of stuff that was
Fly
around
53,
then.
man, I've not heard that for a while.
Yeah, I know, Geo Joy, whatever, like all them brands that were about then, can't remember, so it was like split, girls on the right, boys on the left, and we used to hang outside there, get our like 50 quid out the cash machine when like on a college break, and then go buy whatever piece from there. And then we had Top Man,
Yeah.
And then we had JJB Sports.
Okay.
R.I.P.
R.I.P.
So you get all your sports kit from there. You get your basics, jeans and chinos, whatever it was, twist carrot chinos from Top Man, and you get your designer piece from Bank, and that was it. So there was no
better selection than Chorley had, man.
Yeah. So I was like, so we'd sometimes go to Telford, which is like the nearest town, which would be the shopping thing, or when we got to that sort of age, we'd go like Birmingham Bullring.
Okay.
And then we'd get the All Saints and like, all them like shops then.
So how far is that from you, Birmingham? Is that an hour?
Yeah, about an hour.
Yeah. Okay, so that's doable 15. As a youth, innit? Just like on the cusp of where you'd be allowed to go.
Yeah, I used to go to loads of gigs there, so it was sound. But in terms of like, there wasn't like, you wouldn't walk around and see like an eclectic. Shrewsbury's a very like sort of white middle class town, really. It was then. It's diversified a bit now. So everyone kind of dressed the same.
Yeah.
So there was no like eclectic sort of out there fashion that you could say, oh, I like that, so I'm going to kind of gravitate towards that. It went through trends, and everyone went through those trends together. Do you know what I mean? So.
And you saying you were into it as a lad, did you do the best version of the trends that you were seeing, or were you looking elsewhere to the outside to kind of bring something new to the table amongst your
the first trend was like I cottoned on was when I was in secondary school, and maybe even before that, like early secondary school, maybe even primary school. I can't even remember what shed, and it was, we had a shop called Soho, and that was in the pre-indie phase, and it was like the Limp Bizkit, Korn, Papa Roach, that phase.
So did you have band tees or just
band tees, Blink 182, Offspring hoodie? So my first ever purchase, like with my own money, was a 25 quid pair of baggy jeans, like really, really baggy. And I used to have DCs or Epneys or whatever shoes,
chunky ones.
Yeah, and then like an Offspring black hoodie. 25 quid for the jeans, 25 quid for the hoodie, 50 quid, bang. And I loved it. Wore it to town every Saturday.
Did you have a chain?
Chain with a wallet, like a no fear wallet, leather wallet.
So I think I've mentioned this to some other people that have come on here before, but it's mad to see that style coming back amongst like Billie Eilish, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
And that because I wore that kind of shit and I looked like shit in it, and then we get this kind of like retrospective view of it, hyper stylized. Billie Eilish version of it, where the baggy jeans and the keychains look $1 million, but I think it is a case of rose tinted specs. Yeah, it was mad. I feel like that was a bad era.
Yeah, it was a bad era, and my mum, like, I think she thought, like, what the fuck are you doing here? But sort of just allowed it to happen because she'd obviously been through like subculture and trend, and so she knew that it was like a thing, which is quite. She must have been thinking like, what the hell's going on? But it was like that Eminem. It was like Eminem. Everyone listened to Eminem, but everyone listened to like
new metal as well.
Yeah, new metal as well. And I was banging that era, and then caught on to when I got to college, I was like, I went through. Well, first I think that must have literally been finishing primary school. That I was at that age then. Them jeans, God knows how I got them to fit me and how ridiculous they look. And then my first when I got to secondary school, year 7, 8, 9. I went through like the more chavvy phase. Okay. So that's when I was like, the chavvy mod phase, like indie music was coming in, the bands were coming in.
So was Top Man the place you were going to?
Yeah, started wearing a lot of Top Man stuff, because like, that was probably all you could afford it then, like 30 quid pair of jeans, 25 quid pair of jeans. But then my designer piece from Bank, which I was talking about, would be a Fred Perry polo.
Yeah, nice, mate.
Fred Perry polo was, I had so many Fred Perry polos, like Lacoste polos, Tommy Hilfiger, those kind of brands, which is still like knocking about now, and like buy a lot of vintage from it now. But that was then my sort of like went into like the chav sort of phase. Shamefully, I owned a pair of Rockports actually, which
no shame in that at all, man. That's a quality piece of leather footwear.
Yeah, they lasted me like the whole of school until my feet just couldn't fit them anymore.
I just reposted a thing from Instagram, Classroom Culture. Shout out Rich, who does that account. Don't know if you follow that one. He was posting some lovely Rockports last night, and I think they're due a resurgence. Like, part Gorpy, part well-made, part heritage, like sportswear.
I think the contingency on me having them, because I used to bike to school, was I had the little ones with the reflector lines.
Okay.
So I think my mum was like, I'll pay 90 quid for a pair of shoes, only if you get these ones that are going to make you safer.
I did hear on another podcast that you were on, you referenced you mentioned a few brands there, the polo shirts, Fred Perry and that, but I heard that you used to be a mad Lacoste fan.
Lacoste.
What's the story there?
I've always liked that crossover, I think, between sports wear and sort of like streetwear. You wouldn't have called it streetwear back then, like. But Lacoste was always one that I loved. I had so many Lacoste like tracksuits and polos. So like when we'd go away on holiday, and I'd have like my 50 quid again, like I said, pocket money that I'd saved up, I would always drag my parents to the Lacoste shop and buy a different colour polo.
Oh, gorgeous.
So I must have had like 8, 9, 10 Lacoste polos in the end.
And these are probably colours that you couldn't have got if you were buying Lacoste.
I remember my favourite ever one was a burnt orange one.
Lovely.
I've never replaced it. So I had burnt orange, lime green, like bright yellow. So I'd go like quite out there ones. Yeah. But Lacoste was always, I don't know why, like...
I mean, it's quality gear, man. Yeah. I think you don't even have to explain why it was Lacoste. Everyone can see the appeal. It's timeless. It's gorgeous.
Yeah, and I always loved going in a shop and getting that. But yeah, Fred Perry, Lacoste, and Tommy Hilfiger were always my 3 brands then, like the little labels and stuff like that. But I've not bought anything Lacoste for ages, but it will still hold a bit of a heritage place in my heart.
Did you ever couple your Rockport boots? I said you had shoes, Rockport shoes, with your Lacoste tracky, because that's the ultimate like towny look.
Yeah, I think so.
Killing it.
Yeah, I love tracky. I always wore tracky bottoms when I was like college era.
Comfy.
Yeah, I wear joggers a lot now, but like conscious about which joggers I buy. But it was a good era.
So you've been in Manchester for quite a while now. You mentioned when we were talking about the pop-up that Oxford Road was your kind of student hangout.
Yeah, man.
What is it now? What anniversary are you up to?
We still got a uni group on WhatsApp, and I think we would, like a couple of years ago, we were just celebrating our 10 years since we left.
Congratulations.
So, I went there at 19. I took a gap year and went there at 19. So, would have finished at 22. So, 10 years ago.
Christ, man. And do you still find it as exciting a place to be in terms of fashion? Do you still get that kind of buzz from the city when you look around?
I guess then I was like, obviously I had way more. I used to love going shopping then around Arndale, and like then my transition through uni was like kind of dressed the same first year, 2 years at uni as I did like finishing college. Was still very much into my band, so very much still wearing that kind of stuff. I only sort of thought about this before coming on here, that actually my final years when I started to gravitate a little bit more towards the independent stuff. And there was that store there's that Medic Matty in Affleck's Palace.
Okay.
They had like 2 rails.
Yeah.
But just of these t-shirts that you'd never seen before. You'd never heard of them. And it was before like e-commerce was a major thing online. It was like you'd shop at ASOS, wouldn't you, if you were going to get all your stuff and your brands. So like I used to love going there and seeing what new t-shirts they had and what new designs.
What are we talking, like vintage prints that you wouldn't see on stuff?
There was a brand called XCVB, I think is still going now. They were based in Sheffield. They stocked in there, and it was just like, it was just similar graphics as to what I do with Unique now. It was just like a designer whacking a graphic on a t-shirt. And I started to look at that a little bit more like last year of uni.
Yeah.
Like my photographer now, actually, Jacob, owned a brand called The Fuck Life, which was abbreviated to THFKDLF. Okay. And they had that logo like in a script font across, and I really liked that and bought a couple of them t-shirts then, and they were killing it. And then it was like when Hype came about, that was like one of the first independent brands then. I never got massively into that, but it started to enter then, didn't it? And then that's when I started to sort of take a little bit of notice of it.
So you saw the appeal of a big graphic on a t-shirt, basically.
Yeah, I just liked the fact that I'd never heard of it before and saw it and was like, that's quite cool. I'd never seen anyone in that.
The uniqueness of it.
Exactly. So I'd never seen anyone in it. So I was like, that was what was pulling me a little bit towards it way before I knew that I was going to go into that market and do it as a job. Do you know what I mean?
I think when I first came across Bound, it was when my pal Harrison started working with you. He must have been there a couple of year and a half, 2 years-ish now, something like that. Maybe
he pissed off for a sabbatical for a little bit.
Yeah, he did.
To sort of like
went around
travel around the world a little bit. Like went to all the hottest countries in the coldest time, which I thought was interesting. But yeah, he went on a food tour.
Yeah, he was eating all the good stuff.
Yeah.
But it seems like you've got a really solid team of grafters and creatives around you at Bound now. I love that Bound by Passion series that you put out. Incredible videos, man. We had former guest Neil Summers on there. some other incredible people, but is that type of brand storytelling something you can do now you've got all these creatives on board, and is that part of the job that you particularly enjoy?
Yeah, I'll just start by outlining the fact that staff are, like, when they say it when you're running a business, it's like staff are the final boss.
Okay.
For how difficult it becomes. It's
right.
like a whole like my career now, my job and like my day to day is so much different to what it was 2 years ago. So I've gone from 2 staff to 12 in the space of 2 years.
Yeah.
Which is pretty mad.
And this is the first time you've had 12 staff, I'm presuming you.
Yeah. So it's 12 including me. So staff are great, but they are hard work.
Okay.
Really, really hard work. So it's like, you know, you're thinking about them all the time, basically. Are they happy? You know, what can I do to help them? They're not doing this, blah, blah, blah. Like, you feel all of their problems. You absorb all of their feelings as a boss.
Yeah.
A lot of people warned me of that, and you'll speak to a lot of business owners who do it on their own, and then, like, there's this problem, shipping, logistics, blah, 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 blah. It still do happen, but when you get to staff, you realise how, like, pivotal it is. But it's great, and I wouldn't change it. Like, I worked in an office on my own for literally, like, 6 years. Okay. Staring out a window, just me, which is enough to make anyone go a little bit mad. So I've really enjoyed it, and now can, like, I've made every decision by myself for however long. Yeah. So to be able to lean on, like, those guys and get a bit across in it, it's good to be challenged as well. Like, I encourage them to say, I don't quite like it, I think you should do it this way. Yeah. Especially Harrison's like that anyway. Like,
yeah, he's got such a background in clothes that, you know, you can value his opinion on that because he's seen a lot.
But what I love about, like, the guys you mentioned, Harrison and Alex, who work closely with me on Bound, so the other guys all work for Unique, really, apart from customer service and crossover. We all cross over a little bit at the brands, but Alex and Harrison are massive on the Bound side of things. But me and Al have been pals for, like, best pals for, like, 5-6 years. He lived and breathed the brand already before working for it. He, like, loved it. Yeah. Same with Harrison. Harrison was the model for our first ever shoot. Yeah. With his long hair, like, down to here. So, gorgeous, and then he was a customer then after that. So, like, they understand what I'm doing. They understand me. They understand the project, and they want to see it do really well, which helps. So I'm lucky to have them, like, so invested, and obviously unbelievably talented creative as well, to help me out. So yeah, buzzing that I've got those guys on it, and, like, when we do trips away and stuff like that, it's good to have your mates there.
Defo,
but then we get the job done. Yeah, it's a good outcome. So yeah, I'm pretty blessed in that sense, really, that, you know, I've got them guys, and it makes it fun.
Lovely, mate. And tell us a little bit more about the Bound by Passion series, because I think that is it's something you didn't have to do.
No,
but it looks fun, and it really plays, like, that storytelling role within the brand. I think connects you to. Well, it was the place where I first came across it, so it's a good gateway in for a lot of people.
For me, like I talked about a little bit at the start, like, I'm not one of them CEOs who's like, CEO is like, I even hate saying that, but I'm not one of them business owners who's like at the forefront of everything. I'm not shouting about, I'm not putting my face out there. So I've never really, like, put my face or name out there to, like, the punters or the people, the followers, or, you know, everyone who's into it, purely because, like, it shouldn't be about me, like, massively. It should be about what the Garms that we're doing in the community and the project that we're building. I understand that now, the way that, like, authenticity's grown within social media, like, you have to be personable as a company, and we have always tried to do that in our language, the way that we speak to customers and stuff like that. It's not robotic, it's like you're speaking to a human. But what I wanted to do is got to the stage with Bound, I was like, we're releasing really good clothes and we're doing really good things, we're doing really good shoots, but let's be more personable, but without me being at the forefront of it and saying, this is all about me and this is why I do these things. Like, let's do something where we can show what we're about by using other people and why they're into us and what they're doing. So we realised that, like, we were lucky enough that we had so many cool, like, Neil's, like, was one of the first people who came to my unit, looked at the first ever collection, and me and Neil, like, I respect him so much, and he's a great guy, and he wants to champion what we're doing like he does with many other brands. So, like, to get Neil's sort of kudos and respect on the podcast and then on, like, through the project was unbelievable. But we basically was like, I saw all these amazing creatives, like, across different industries buying Bound and seeing them in the network, following, like, everyone who we videoed with was a customer. Yeah. So I was like, we've got to take advantage of that. They're doing such cool things across different fields. And for me, like, the way I put it was extracting the culture from our community.
Ah, nice, man.
So to show exactly what we're about, like, they're shopping with us for a reason. They're, like, involved with us for a reason. let's give their story to tell ours.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it was like sort of subconscious way, and they went absolutely amazing. They were so well received, and like everyone who did it was unbelievable.
Yeah.
So
It's quite a disparate customer base as well. You've got chefs, musicians, like people from a lot of different backgrounds on there. And I think,
it's just, that's the mad thing. Like, it's such a wide demographic of an audience. It's so cool. We noticed that in the pop-up shop, like, so many different people buy it, which is great, because that's what I want to do with Bound. I don't just want it to be a set demographic, a set customer, because actually I'm like a little bit weird myself in the fact that one day I'll dress quite smart, the next day I'll wear joggers and a sweater, and then the next day I'll wear something completely different. Like that's what I want to do with Bound, is give something to everybody, because everyone's got a different mood of how they want to dress. You don't want to dress the same every day, and it's hard to find like a brand that can give you all those different moods.
Nice.
So the fact that we had it with the different people means that we're doing something right, I think.
For real.
That's not me.
So looking back over, from a personal perspective, looking back over all the eras that you've dressed through, are there any that really stick out and make you cringe?
Yeah, that's that baggy jeans and an Offspring hoodie, because we were all wearing like the different hoodies as well. And I remember getting so pissed off when one of my mates bought an Offspring hoodie. I was like, I can't hang around with him like in town because he's got the same hoodie as me, but like Blink 182, System of a Down, whatever. That was it. That was a funny one. And I guess being a bit of a chav, like I'd like to think I was on the trendier chavs. I wasn't just wearing navy and white.
Okay.
Like the chavs wore then, or the roadies. I don't know what you call them. Like
Townies, where I'm
Townies,
from.
yeah. We were chavs. We were full chavs.
I think you'll be vindicated in years to come, man. I think Rockport, you'll look back on it and that'll be the one you're showing off on.
Yeah. I need to try and find an old photo of him then, don't I?
Yeah, dig that one out for us.
But yeah, not. I've never I've never dressed. I don't think personally, like our mates will probably. It's funny because my Shrewsbury mates think I dress like quite out there, and like can't believe sometimes they're like, I can't believe you own a clothing company, you dress like that, because I'm wearing something that's not, because they dress a lot more safe, if you like. I don't want to throw them under the bus and take the piss out of them, but they dress pretty boring, basically. So they'll hammer me for wearing like probably like a cardigan. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then Manchester mates would be like, oh, I really like it. Do you know what I mean? So the difference between like
the
response you get, even now, and it's like it's still pretty crazy. Big up the Manchester lot.
Yeah, man, and they're accepting ways.
Yeah.
So talk to me a little bit about the aesthetic inspiration for Bound, because it's pretty sexy stuff. What we're wearing today, we bounded out.
Yeah,
today.
this is mohair cardigan. This is literally I'm dripping in Bound, which is generally my day-to-day thingy. Why not? Like, but so Bound denim, mohair, and a nice little waffle undershirt.
Lovely, mate.
It's cozy.
So I'm getting like classic, chic European styles. Am I not too far off the mark?
Yeah,
there?
I think so. Like you said, like Copenhagen style, Palermo, like where we looked at a lot of. So like my design sort of format, and like when I'm thinking about collections to and from, like I've got an intern actually at the moment who's working on design with me, which is really helpful because I can go to her with ideas and mood boards and stuff like that, and she can piece together the final sort of stuff. It means that we're actually churning out so many samples at the moment, which is mega, because it's cutting my time in half. But yeah, it's like I've never really given it a thought massively. I've just followed like this little bit of a wave of how I'm feeling at the time when it comes to it.
Very instinctive way of doing it.
Yeah, and I get a lot from TV and like stylistic like that. So not necessarily people. I don't look at what people are wearing like in real life. I don't look at catwalks, don't look at any of that bollocks, like influencers. Other brands really I don't look at.
The feel you get from a television
I'll watch,
program.
Goodfellas, Sopranos,
I was going to say.
old stuff like that. Even Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, which was a remake now, like a lot of the remakes, whoever does the wardrobe casting and that sort of stuff is unbelievable. So I'll see that and go, hold on a minute, I like that and like where that's going, and like we'll sort of cotton on to this ideology in my head and then work around that basically.
And you know, something like The Sopranos, people watch it, it's iconic, and drool over the clothes, like incredible, but it's difficult to find those actual clothes that they're wearing, and it takes a skilled costumer with connections in the right places to source them. So someone who can come along and be inspired by that aesthetic and then make them available for people to buy is dead valuable. I think. Massively. Honestly, the amount of times that like I've got my missus doing it now, it's, you know, like scene in
what is it, Knocked Up, where they pause it to get, they like doing the boobs and stuff. Okay. Do you know what I mean? I'm like with a missus, I'm like, knit polo, pause it. And I'll be there like taking a photo of it. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, we'll pause the TV all the time to be like, really like that? Do you like take a photo of it, stick it in a folder and then come back to it like a year later? Do you know what I mean?
Who is the best dressed character in Sopranos in your opinion?
Oh, Paulie Walnuts is... That's like me when I was in college.
Okay.
You know, Sergio Tacchini, like he's got a bit of me, and then
full feel.
Obviously Tony, like Tony with like I love a shirt that the sleeve goes to the elbow.
Yeah, yeah.
So like that's what I start. That's how I style all of it. Like design all of our shirts. Like the pattern will go to the elbow. So that's a big thing. Like Chrissy when he wears his leather jackets is always
iconic.
Pretty cool, man. Like they're all fucking banging.
Still in
it's
the
all
suits,
so good.
like they find
still in the suits. Yeah, I love it. It's just all of it. Yeah, and Goodfellas as well is like bang up there.
Have you ever made anything with the Goodfellas? A smart shirt with the Goodfellas collar?
When Matt loves it as well. So that's like with the Matt Helder's collaboration. Like when we were talking about the design, because we really wanted to get him like resonating through that whole collection when we did that. I knew that he was a big Sopranos and Goodfellas fan, so we actually did the Henry polo. It looks very different. It's full zip, but it's a navy polo and it's got like a repeat pattern through it. And we called it the Henry after Henry and Goodfellas because we had like a mutual love for Goodfellas. So yeah, it has creeped in like subconsciously. Not everyone will know that, but like it's quite a cool thing that we knew it. Do you know what I mean? That's
the important thing, man. If you're passionate about what you're doing, it's got these like hidden secrets baked into the design. It makes you want to sell it to people.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah.
So he is the drummer in the Arctic Monkeys, right?
Yeah.
You've got some other very well-known supporters. I've seen Ian Wright wearing it recently.
Yeah.
Your man Skream that we mentioned earlier on, KDB, Stockport's finest Neil Summers. I'm going to have to stop giving him a shout out on every episode. But how does it feel when you are clothing people that you admire?
It's unbelievable. Like, and it's all the thing is, all of them, they're all organic.
Yeah.
Not paid any of them to do it. Like, and that's a great feeling. And it's a great feeling for me. Like, I was thinking about this a little bit more kind of recently. Like, the fact that those people are wearing it and they're people I admire. Like, the Helders thing that we have to touch on because of how ridiculous it was. Like, this is my band. You know, this is since I was 14. Me and my brother listening to Fate Tales of San Francisco demo on a Walkman. Same here. And we've watched them from like 800 cap Vens to, 10,000 and headlining Glastonbury now. So like, he just bought stuff and I was packing the orders then at the time. So I was still at Bound on my own. He bought stuff, had it sent to their hotel, the recording studio that were recording the latest album. Okay. And I remember packing the order and thinking, Matthew Helders, no way, can't be. Went on Instagram, saw that he followed and was like, verified it, was like, oh my God, like, fucking hell, this is like mad. But the fact that like, he's just gravitated toward the brand and it's like, means that there must be a little bit of me in the brand that's like seeping out. Yeah. That it's reached someone like that. Like, I'm not big into like this whole, the universe is a greater power and does all these things, but there has to be some like thing there that's just a bit crazy. And obviously like what that then progressed into with the collaboration in terms of the clothing and the video that we shot and like,
it was a pretty massive collaboration. It wasn't just one item, was it? It was
it was a full collection. We talked about it like through. We properly like planned it and did it properly over the space of like a year and got to know I got to know him to be able to put the clothes like the collection better and the content better like thing which was great. And actually was just a normal dude and we just ended up being like pals and just having a beer and like chatting about normal shit, football and things like that, which was crazy because it's like I said, when we went to LA it was a bit like, wow, imposter syndrome came a little bit and I was like, how's this happening? But then in the end, like I said, it's like if a little bit of me has seeped into the brand, then I should probably just be like, why shouldn't it happen? Do you know what I mean?
And do you enjoy this collaborative way of working? Do you find it pushes you creatively in ways that you never would be if you were just left to your own devices?
I think you're thinking about another party and why they're invested in your brand and like what they want to get out of it. I'd never do one with like someone that I didn't think suited the brand or someone that I wasn't into what they were doing. Like that's my number one rule is like, it doesn't matter how big they are, I've got to be a fan of their art, their creativeness, like whatever they're doing. Otherwise it's not authentic and I can't get the best result out of it. But the Righty thing was like so many people messaged me about that. That went down so well, the right thing. He just reached out and like, or his stylist was like, Ian like really loves your stuff. Like can he get some stuff for the Women's World Cup? And we were like, fucking yes, of course. KDB, I'm a Liverpool fan, but that was unbelievable. I love him forever for that. And someone just sent me a message like on Twitter, and he actually was wearing like the more minimal stuff. So like the branding was on the sleeve, but obviously I knew it as soon as I'd seen it, and was just like, someone sent it to me, and I was like, with some random dude in the airport first, and then like a couple of hours later he was pictured. Like footballer fits is quite a big thing now, isn't it?
Over the past 3 or 4 years, like it's gone from zero to
there's like
60.
Instagram accounts for it and everything. It's like footballer fashion is like popping off massively. It always has been, but like now it's like really well thought out. And they had a photographer taking photos of them going on the plane to the World Cup.
Yeah.
So like a couple of hours later, it was on Instagram, and I was just like, that is fucking mental. So then we were trying to find the source of like who bought it, and I think it was like his missus's like best mate or something, must be like his PA or something. So we found the link. So he
digging through the orders and stuff.
Yeah, looking through the orders to be like, how's this come across? Like, how's this happened? We didn't have a clue.
Yeah.
And like the madness of it is, if he didn't wear it and get snapped on that day, he would own all these pieces of clothing. We would never know.
Yeah.
Like I would literally never know. And there probably is like loads of people out there that have it, and I don't know. But that's quite like the joys of doing it organically, not me going, oh, pay you 10 grand, you've got to wear this.
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't get any like that feeling out of it, because I knew it was coming.
Yeah.
So like the surprise of waking up in the morning and seeing that, you go, fucking hell,
it's just
mad,
testament to what you're doing, I guess, isn't it? And it vindicates it and like rubber stamps it that it's proper.
Yeah. There was a 1 week where we had like James Maddison, Victor Lindelof, and someone else.
Lindelof's low-key drippy, man.
Yeah,
like, I don't think he gets
is.
the shine that he needs. Like, I'm a United fan, and we've not got many like slick dressers. Like Rashi does it nicely sometimes, but I think Lindelof is either him or Wan-Bissaka is probably the best dressed in the United squad.
We noticed them names come through then, and we were like, yeah, that's mad, that's cool. Rashford I've always wanted.
Yeah.
I've always thought Rashford, even as a Liverpool fan, like I said, Rashford and Salah. And Raheem Sterling as well. I think Raheem Sterling's pretty cool in some of the clothing stuff he does, yeah. But yeah, it's mad. It's just the feeling itself is like, it's unbelievable, really. Yeah,
yes, man. Well, really good. I mean, we've mentioned a few names there, but the one that excites me most is probably Skream, because I'm a massive fan of his music, and I've been since literally he started making it. That kind of sound that he was doing was my bread and butter. I used to like go to the raves, DJ. I played before Skream at something at the Magnet in Liverpool about, must have been 06, 07, something like that, a long time ago. But he got onto Unique, right? Yeah,
so Skream was like, I've got to give a massive shout out to Skream if he'll ever find the time to listen to it in his hectic life. But he's been probably one of the most like, he'd never probably like recognise it, or he'd never done it within any intention, but he was like a massive foot up and like advocate for Unique.
Yeah,
he was one of the, well, still goes down as the most down to earth, genuine, authentic DJ. Like,
he's just
famous,
passionate, and he just loves
famous person I've
does.
ever met. I remember him reaching out to him, going, oh, like, loved you. Skream was my first ever warehouse project.
Yeah, massive.
Skream and Benga.
Might have been at that one, actually.
Yeah, Skream and Benga was like, I think it was 14th of December, 2010. So that was my first ever warehouse project. So it's a massive part of my like entry into like rave music, and like went to warehouse everybody. So Magnetic Man was a massive part of my uni sort of like life. So Skream was like one of my favourite DJs, and this is why it's mad that favourite DJ, favourite band, like it's all come to fruition somehow. But I reached out to him, and he was the first one who was like, here's my number, come meet me at warehouse. Like no, just giving it to like,
just because he liked the gear.
Yeah, and he was I remember taking it to him, and we just got on really well, just naturally, and then just stayed in touch for years and years and years. Went to every show, and then ended up doing. He was the first collaboration that I ever did.
Okay, what was that tee?
That was literally just the little Unique. It was just a little diamond logo at the time with the two dots in. Yeah. Unique times Skream, and then Skreamism along the back.
Nice.
In the font. So there's when like long line tees. Remember long line tees were in. And he's tall, he's like 6'4" or 5", like a little bit taller than me. And we had the Skreamism along the back of the long line tee, because that's what he was wearing. Sold out 25 in 2 minutes, and I was like, oh my God, like that was the biggest thing that I'd ever done. Like, packed them up and sent them all from my flat. And then we did like 3 t-shirts after that. And then we filmed on tour with him, open to close.
Mad.
So we filmed his open to close thing, me and Alex. That was the first time I met Alex. So I put something on Facebook, like status, like, got a really good project, like, I need a videographer, please. Like, someone messaged me. Didn't say I'm doing this for Skream because I had to keep it secret. Alex messaged me, went, oh, I'm really interested. Do you want to go for a beer?
Kind of out of the blue.
Out of the blue, never met. Just went, messaged me, said, yeah, I'm interested to hear more. Do you want to go for a beer? Then I told him it was Skream, and he was like, it was this first ever big project, and that's how me and Al met.
Sick, man.
So it was like, that was a big start of like just something. That was when I first felt like the most enjoyment out of it, and actually like, shit, I'm onto something here.
I can make
and
this
it wasn't
work.
like it's with the things that I got to go on tour with Skream and somehow just about survive it.
Yeah.
It's heavy duty. I came out looking about 10 years older. We did it twice actually. The second time I was like, I can't fucking do that again. But we had such a good time with him. So he's helped like from day one. For the first 5 years, he was just like, hugely instrumental to just where Unique went and its entry into music culture. And he's like, and he just does things like that for so many DJs and so many people just without thinking about it, with no gain, no gain back. He was never like, give me this, I want this.
I don't think he's got that in him, has he?
No.
I think he just seems like a giving, loving, passionate, instinctive
he's
guy,
a legend,
like,
man. And I've hooked him up gear like Garms for 10 years now.
Yeah.
So like we've scratched each other's back in a way that we partied literally in loads of different countries together, and we've had a good time. So that's like, shout out to Skream. He's a
legend.
Fucking proper one.
Nice one, man.
Proper one.
Top 3 selected.
So I want a top 3 from you, please, Jake. I know you're a footy fan and you play cricket.
Yeah.
And obviously your Lacoste fascination, tennis must have been on the radar to a certain extent. I'd like your top 3 steeziest sports stars, please.
Oh, God, this is a big one.
You can draw them from whichever sport.
I can't just go the ones that have all bought bound.
Okay.
KDB, Reece Topley in cricket.
Reece Topley wears it, does he?
Yeah, Reece Topley's.
Okay.
Yeah, Reece Topley's big on bound. Yeah, I'm trying to think who else. I'd say Lindelof. Like I said before, I think Rashford, Raheem, and Salah. The Salah shoot for Burberry was, and he did one with Adidas recently, which was it's almost like knitwear joggers.
Okay.
Adidas retro joggers. So when he looked cool when he like proper kits himself up.
The Rashford stuff with Burberry was amazing.
Rashford stuff with Burberry, was proper good. Rashford's always been like very, very well dressed since he sort of like.
Wonder what he wore to China Whites on Sunday night after the derby last week.
yeah. Shall not speak. Yeah. I think like God, let me try and I'm trying to think into like go back to the retro ones. I think after watching the Beckham documentary, you've got to have a bit of admiration for his style, haven't you?
Yeah, I mean, trying new things, trailblazing.
Yeah.
He was a figure of ridicule for everyone until all the kids in the world were wearing Alice bands in their hair and stuff.
Well, that's what I mean, like going back to Shrewsbury and taking a piss out of wearing a pair of cords. Like,
if Beckham did it, it got the pass.
Beckham probably got the hammer from his teammates and probably still went, do you know what, like, don't give a shit.
Yeah.
And that's like, after watching the Beckham documentary, I had like a lot of admiration for him. Didn't realise how many boundaries he pushed in fashion and other industries as well. So yeah, Beckham, like throwing it back to that era is, that's got to be up there, I think.
Defo, man. Ice tips and all that.
Yeah.
I think he must be the guy that the most lads have taken into barbershops and gone, I want this.
Yeah.
You know, from the mohawk to the skinhead to the curtains, like, he's just a fashion icon.
I think I did the mohawk once.
Did you?
Yeah, I think so. I've never been able to do the long hair, but I think I did the mohawk.
It's doable, isn't it? Nice, mate. So is that a 3?
Yeah, what did we say? We say Rashford, Salah, Beckham. All footballers, though. I'm trying to cross over to I was speaking to my cricket mates about this, and they asked me the same thing, like, who would you want? And I was saying cricket once, like, there's only really the footballer fashion trend on Instagram, so it's quite hard to see, like, we're talking about cricketers, and I said Reece Topley was like, he's a cool guy, dresses really well, he's tall boy, he's like 6'7", so that's why I style everything in bound, like, I'll fit everything to sort of fit me, and I'm 6'4", so he like pulls it off really well. But then I was saying, like, who else is there? Like, in cricket. It's hard to see.
Yeah, it is.
Like
it
football,
is.
as you can kind of grasp because it's a bit more out there and obviously like being packed a little bit more. But there's got to be some like super fashionable tennis players out there and stuff like that.
Defo. I mean, Federer's pretty timeless, isn't he? He moves stylishly. I think Federer. He's got a kind of slow gentleness to the way that he moves, and he always looks good in the feeler. Is it feeler that he wears?
Yeah, I don't know. He's been Nike, hasn't he, for years?
Yeah, he has been.
He did do feeler.
He's got Uniqlo stuff as well, hasn't he?
Uniqlo stuff, yeah. Because Djokovic was always Lacoste.
Yeah.
I always think he looked pretty cool.
He does look good, despite being a bit of a knobhead, I think.
Being a bit of a knob, yeah. Didn't want to say it before, like, Djokovic, Lacoste. But,
Tin can head.
Yeah.
I want this in on the podcast. Yeah. Okay, I know you like to... this podcast's called My Own Garms, but I know you like to wear your own garms a little bit. But outside of Unique and Bound, what have you been enjoying wearing recently?
Do you know what? I'm not like... What I love about the Bound customer as well is that like when I'll do a new release, there's the same people who buy over like as soon as it drops, which I think is like it's mint for me, and it's mint that people are that passionate about brands that like as soon as they release something, I've got to gun it. It's like when your favourite band releases an album, like got to listen to it. That to me is like blows mine because I've never truly been like that.
Okay.
So the fact that so my mindset's not like that, but the fact that other people's are, I'm like, it's class that it obviously gives that people that excitement and that joy. Just clothes, like, and I noticed that a lot more with the Bound stuff. Like a lot of the messages you get, like, I feel I've never felt this confident wearing this. Like I didn't think I could pull it off, but like that's a lovely like the Bound DMs are honestly in the world of shitty internet hate that people go and like terribleness on social media. Like the Bound DMs are a really nice place, which is like,
I mean,
which is quite cool. And then like and then I look at that and think, I don't want to overshare too much of that because it's sometimes quite nice. It's a little private sort of like exchange you have. But I've never been like, I've got to buy this brand every drop. Yeah. But I do have my go-tos that I'm like, I'll always try and buy like a Stussy piece every year. Stussy's always been a bit of like, I love Stussy, the heritage of it. Not a skater, but they make really good clothes and like I just like
forward thinking, like
I did like ALD for a bit. And ALD, I would say like, not that I'm massively inspired by other brands and like try to gravitate towards them a little bit, but like ALD have been leaders of the game for a number of years. But with those budgets and like what they do and being from New York, it's like obviously helps.
It's the styling and the shoots that always blow me away with Family on Day.
They changed the game for lookbooks. They changed the game for lookbooks. Like, without a shadow of a doubt, like you can see like so many brands do that now. And even what he did when he went to New Balance, Teddy, like I say that like I know him, Teddy Sanders. I don't know him, but no, even what he's done, like, and I always looked like ALD when I first started Bound 5 years ago. I was like, these guys are fucking doing it. Do you know what I mean? And if I can get anything close to what they're doing, then I'm doing something good. So I always had a few ALD pieces. Just got my first ever Stone Island piece, you know.
Okay, what have you got?
Ever, like a twill lightweight jacket. I was in the market for a lightweight jacket and just couldn't find a good one, and just stumbled on this Stone Island one. It was my first ever piece. Not like purposely, like I've got to own a Stone Island piece. I just like the jacket, and it's like waterproof and whatever.
Yeah,
so
I think quality. I've only recently got into a bit of Stone Island stuff, and I think it was because I hadn't touched it. And the first time that I went in and felt what it felt like to put on and felt the fabric in my hand, I was like, this is why it's 3 times more expensive than my other jackets. And I still feel $1 million when I put it on. And you know,
I remember I put my first on the other week just to walk to the shops to get a bite. I felt a little bit nervous. I was like, this is the first. I was like, because I was like, never worn it. I didn't want to seem like because there's the tag that comes with it, right? There's the association, but actually it is unbelievably well-made garments. Like
first and foremost.
Like, and for me in the industry, like I said, feeling the fabrics and knowing what they're doing, the work that they put into like fabric research and stuff like that, it's like there's no reason you shouldn't invest in that brand. And you sell it 5 years down the line, you're going to get as much as you paid for it. So it's like it's a good investment, like for a longevity piece. I don't try and buy like I'll only buy like obviously because it doesn't make sense for me not to. I'll buy like 3-4 garments a year.
Fucking hell, man.
And it'll be things that I don't like specifically don't like make or do. Because if I go, I really want a mohair cardigan, I'll just go and make it, and I'll put the works into like I'll sand it and make it to the piece that I was thinking that I wanted to buy.
yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And it's just like, that's a luxury to have for me.
Real, man.
To be able to do, which
Must be
is
an
pretty
amazing
cool.
feeling.
Yeah, because it's like I kind of went through transitions of like enjoying wearing my stuff, and then I thought, am I wearing it too much? Like when I go to a big social event, does it come across? Now I'm just like, I'll just wear it everywhere all the time. And it's like, why not? Like,
Why not, mate?
Yeah.
Rep yourself.
Yeah.
Next hype.
I know with brands, you've always got to be thinking seasons ahead of seasons ahead of seasons.
Of course, yeah.
Summer is definitely behind us, and last summer was, I mean, you've been making kind of knit polos and crocheted stuff for quite a long time now.
Yeah.
But I think last summer was the summer of the kind of knit polo.
Yeah.
What do you think the hot boys will be wearing next summer or the summer after that? Or what are you going to make? What the lookbook's going to make?
Honestly, it's funny this because I never have a fucking clue.
Okay.
Like, honestly, people ask me like, "Oh, mate, what's going to be the trend?" Like, I'm like, I don't look at catwalks. I don't really look at what the other brands are doing too much. So I'm like, I don't really have a fucking clue.
Yeah.
But the knit polo thing was because I was watching Sopranos and Goodfellas during lockdown. So me and the missus blitzed Sopranos during lockdown, which is why straight away the summer afterwards the knit polos came out.
Wow.
And I was actually pretty early on them. So like I'd done them pretty early, which is funny because you start seeing all the brands buying mine and then sending them back.
Okay.
They've obviously copied them.
Fuck
I
it.
could drop a few under the bus there, but so like I noticed that I was on it pretty early, which was great because they sold through the roof. They went crazy. Like that gave Bound put Bound into them. Like had these free knit polos, these pattern ones, and they were designed by a family friend in Stockport. One of my missus' family friends. She did the repeat patterns, like hand drew them and then things. So they were like fully originally made. And they changed the game for it. So I was on that quite early, but that wasn't because I could predict it. It was because I was loving watching The Sopranos. And Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, we did one of like a revert of one of Brad Pitt's ones in that.
Yeah.
So I can't say, mate. I'll just be like...
But it's just being keyed into culture, that, isn't it? Like recognising that you and probably thousands of other people will have been watching those long form series for the first time and getting the same feelings of fucking hell, that's cool in there. And having the kind of like quickness of mind to execute it and put your passion into what you do, I think.
Yeah, I think finding like inspiration from brands is fine, but you can't rely on that. So like when a lot of people say I want to start an independent brand, like I always say, don't focus on what the other brands are doing. You've got to find the inspiration somewhere in yourself, like from the creative things around you, so like music, TV, whatever. Because that's why there are so many brands now that are so similar. Because everyone sees the one performing the best at that time.
Yeah.
And then go, I'm just going to do my version of them. And it doesn't necessarily that just doesn't work because that'll last someone else will come in or whatever. So like I know what I'm going to do for the next year. We've already got the next year planned out for Bound. Got an amazing collaboration with Unique coming up, which I can't talk about yet, but it will come up. And it's and it's one of them moments again for me. It's like my favourite brand, not in clothing or anything like that. It's in a weird industry that just shouldn't make sense, but it's my favourite brand, and I'm not massively into brands, but that will come out sort of hopefully start of next year. But yeah, I've designed I've already got the concept in mind for winter next year that we're going to do for Bound, and it's like whether that's in trend or not, because I'm talked about doing stuff, a lot of retro vintage stuff, it's never really gone out, the stuff that we do for Bound. It's not like, it might not be in fashion now or fully in trend, but it's been there somewhere. Do you know what I mean? So but if someone asked me to predict what's going to happen,
see what happens.
And I'm kind of happy to not think I know so much about it. I'm just doing my thing. I don't need to pretend that I know the industry, because I don't. It's different. It's so wide. It's so different for everyone. I can't pretend that I really know what I'm doing that much. I'm just doing it my way.
You're doing all right, man.
Yeah. Thankfully.
So we talked about a couple of the trips away that you've done. You mentioned that your last shoot was home based for the first time in a long time. I know you like to get out into the kind of far-flung reaches of the world, but have you got any trips with either of the brands in the diary to escape the absolute unrelenting misery of the British wintertime?
Oh, mate, it's been horrific this week, hasn't it? Stuck in traffic for 2 hours yesterday, just in torrential rain. Yeah, Manchester's not the most inspiring for but that Manchester is inspiring in certain ways, because it's the bit Neil will go on to the heavy coats, the the khaki, the sort of like the heavy work pants, the shoes that you think, can I wear my Clarks today, or do I have to stick on a pair of boots? You know what I mean? It's but like it's nice to escape, like you said. We've got Porto next week, so I'm actually looking at.
Come on,
but this is more like a different project, a bit like the Bound by Passion. We're actually looking at doing like a uniform set. It's called Sustain by Bound, which is basically like joggers, sweaters, t-shirts, basics basically that are completely sustainably made. So organic cotton and recycled polyester, made in a factory that's solar panel run, completely solar panel run, and then shipped over by like a CO2 electric truck. So it's like a front to back,
wow,
like final factory to warehouse sustainability thing. So we want to shout about that, because like when you're doing basics, people can be wearing them every day. There's got to be a USP to it, and like if we're going to do basics that people are going to use and wear a lot, like we want it to be the best they can possibly be.
Portugal
for Bound
seems to be the place that does the best job of that in this continent.
Yeah,
anyway.
Portugal's massive for cotton, so I wanted to fly, like when any supplier that I'll work with, I'll go and fly and see and get to know and like build a relationship, because obviously that's a key thing. That's one of my tips I would recommend to do anyone who wants to like get into it. So yeah, Portugal obviously like has really come along with its cotton, and it's known for probably doing the best sort of quality cotton. So for me, it was important to sort of go out there and work on this. I've been working on it for a while, so we're going to go next week and like film the processes, which is what we've not done before.
Nice, man.
Yeah, excited for that. But
if you're looking to get out for a nice meal, hit me up. I've got all the Porto recommendations.
It's the food. I went on my own like 2 months ago to sort of do the first preliminaries before I took Harrison and Al. And I just remember walking around just eating loads of chicken and steak, just like just first ever solo trip it was for me.
Yeah.
I absolutely loved it. Yeah, it was so good.
Like Nando's times 10.
Yeah. It's just that they hate Nando's over there. That's the funny thing. Because it was all the Nando, like the thing that like the cock that's on the stick.
Yeah.
No innuendo there. But they have them. They're the place that I go just everywhere.
Yeah.
And like it is like that's their sort of thing. Like that's the.
It's mint
I don't know if it's
city,
like
man.
a lucky thing or like just their homage thing. But so that'll be an interesting one. And then trips. Yeah, might be doing like a little Switzerland chalet without giving too much away for Bound. There's a little chalet,
lovely mate,
winter tiny little capsule thing happening. So everyone's keen to do that, as you can imagine.
I bet, man.
We've got like this. I think this time I'm gonna have to put like a bit of a booze ban on it, because Al last time was like, we'd sit down for a meal. He'd go, "Yeah, can I have a Negroni and a beer?" And I was like, "Fucking hell, I'm paying for this." But they really it's like €4 a Negroni or something in Italy. When we went to Palermo. But I was like, this year, this next trip, I might have to put a bit of a booze ban.
Unfortunately, our culture in England is European cities are synonymous with just getting fucking leathered. Yeah. So you're there for work, you still get the itch.
I know. I have to remind them like, we are working. Yeah. You've got like
inspiration.
Yeah, you've got a lot of kit on you there. Like you're like ragging it around in scooters last time, like half cut. And I was thinking, fuck, am I insured for this?
No.
Lawsuit. Yeah.
Final question for you. On a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you care about clothes?
Oh, God, that's a good question. Oh, that's one you need to prep for, isn't it? For me, like, yeah, it's got to be right up there. I don't know if saying a 10 is thinking. I think, like, I'm trying to learn to, as I'm getting older, like, I've been working so hard over the last 5 years, I'm actually exhausted. So I think for me, a sensible answer would to try and say 8 now, because I need to prioritise a couple of other things. You know, I've just moved into a gaff in Chorlton and just got engaged, so that should probably come above the list of clothes. But for me, like, I didn't realise how, when I started Unique 10 years ago, I didn't realise how into it I was going to be. I just kind of jumped on it and fell on it, like the situation, without going too much into like the starting points. I fell onto it a little bit and was like, this is what I'm going to do. Don't know where it's going to go. Like, I knew I was obviously into clothes, but I never predicted it. Like, it was never planned. I never wanted to start a clothing brand. It was not my like route at all. I've fallen in love with it more every year that I've done it.
Oh, nice, man.
Which is nice. Like, I would never have expected that. And like, helps that I've got better at it, but I've constantly tried to learn new things. And even with like the Porto thing, it's like, I want to do that properly. So like my attention to detail has gotten better at it, which means that like I've found more little things that I enjoy more. And
Yeah.
like getting a bound sample for the first time is the best feeling.
Yeah.
Like that photo that we went over before, like
Yeah.
that package, getting that, I'll never forget that.
It's real.
Yeah,
Right.
I'll never forget that moment
Yeah.
because I was like, shit, I've made this from this tiny little fabric swatch and like digitalized it, and then it's come and it's this final product, and it's exactly how I was so lucky that was exactly how I imagined it and wanted it to be on the first attempt, which was kind of lucky really. But yeah, that feeling for me is right up there, and it's like, yeah, it's probably going to be my life for the rest of
Looks
my
like
existence
it, man.
now, isn't it?
Nice
So it's
one.
like, yeah, I guess I've got to love it. I've got to say a high number, otherwise people will start to worry and be like, are you all right?
Eight's pretty high to me, man.
Yeah.
Nice one for doing it, dude. Congrats on what you're doing, and
Thank you, man.
looking forward to seeing it grow.
Yeah, I
even
really
more in the
appreciate having me
future.
on. I really enjoyed it.
Nice one, dude.
Nice one.
Into that one. Big thanks to Jake for guesting and being an absolute ledge. Shout out to you lot for listening. If you made it all the way to the outro, then you're a real one. Now, I know times are hard at the moment and we've all got Garms to buy, but if you want to support the work that we're doing here, get over to patreon.com/myowngarms. There are 3 tiers to support at, the cheapest of which is a very, very reasonable £4.50 a month. Or, if you see me in the pub, get us a bag of crisps or something. Anyway, nice one for being here. Really appreciate it a lot. See you later in the week for some fit pick breakdowns.